Welcome to Deal Talk. I'm Jeffrey Veit. We're going to talk about avoiding dealer tricks, buying smart, and current events in the automobile industry so that you can make the best choices and the best deal when you purchase or lease a car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or motorhome. And I say or lease maybe with what's going on, right? If you were tuned in last week, you know that there's a lot going on in leasing. The first thing I want to talk about is the lease trade battle that will be starting shortly, I think. I haven't heard much hoopla, but I don't see how the manufacturers can do that on current leases. I can see where they'd have you sign a disclosure on a future lease and say, hey, look, I know I have to return it to you. I can't trade it with somebody else. But if I remember right, they tried this once before and it didn't go over so good either. So I don't believe for a second they're going to be able to get away with this. Nope, I don't think so. As I reported last week, the manufacturers are trying to control lease trade-ins so that you must return them to the manufacturer's store, one of their stores, to make a trade or realize the equity you have coming. And you can't, because you're never going to be able to negotiate in top favor unless you can go to other stores too, right? Unless you can go to the competition. Because the manufacturer, whether you buy a Honda from Seattle or you buy one from San Francisco, they're still buying a Honda. That's the way they look at it. I've written to the FTC. I've talked to the FTC on the phone. I've written to the Attorney General. I have talked to the Attorney General's office on the phone. Squeaky wheels get oiled. Give the manufacturers these rights is an open door to similar, policies on future things like mortgages. What if they told you in a mortgage that you could only sell your house to somebody that financed it with their bank? You can't do that. Or any other installment loan, they could do that too, right? They could do that on your phone. They could tell you, oh, you're locked in, you have to deal with us or you can't deal. We're not going to allow you to do it until it's paid for. Well, on a lease, it's not paid for, so they use that as an excuse. And they could certainly change the rules to that in the future. They could maybe sign a statement that says, I understand I must return it to the manufacturer at the end of the lease. Well, that would pull me right out of leasing. I wouldn't lease anymore. That would be the end of that. And because that's one of the big factors is that profits and the equity you can realize at the end. I like having those rights. And like many other things going on in the country now, they're trying to take away one of your rights. It used to be with leasing that you could keep it or you could trade it anywhere you wanted, or you could sell it yourself, or you could just walk away and turn it in. Now they want to stop that. You can't sell it yourself. You can't trade it. You can just walk away and turn it in, or you can trade with the people that you leased it from, and that's it. Well, that's not going to work. That does not work for me. That's not going to ever work for me. And it shouldn't work for you either. And you need to say something now. Too often, we let things ride and go along and we think that, oh, heck, it'll be all right. No, it won't be all right. Now, if you want to say to me, well, I don't care. I'm not, I don't lease anyway. Yeah, but you get a mortgage. You buy a house. How long do you think it'll be when they get away with this that they start moving to someone else? 5 years? 10 years? Who cares when? I don't want them ever doing it. I don't want anybody telling me where to sell my stuff or trade my stuff. And if I leased it, that was one of my rights. Those rights are my stuff. I may not own it yet, but I have the right to own it. I postponed it. That's all. That's part of the deal. And I paid interest on that postponement, on that residual value. So I have that right, and I'm not going to let them take it. And the people that have already traded their vehicles, they're going to get a check for the difference. Because hopefully our Attorney General and the FTC are going to get involved and say, wait a second, this is a problem with truth in lending. And the fact that all of you dealers did this at about the same time, that's collusion. That's supposed to be a really big problem. Don't open the door to him anymore. Where's Dodd-Frank when you need him? Right? He's not even in. Frank is not even in government now. That's right. Well, enough of that. I'm not sure if you're all aware of the EV industry, the electric vehicle industry. It seems to me there have been a lot of fires. I've been watching that. The Chevy Bolt has had a dozen fires lately, which might not seem like much compared to gas vehicles, but since there's a lot less EVs out there, it's a huge number. And look at the accidents that have happened where people died in electrical vehicles, and they died from fire because those big batteries burn. Those lithium batteries burn, and boy, they burn hot. And they're very dangerous. Yet, We want to let people out there in them before we're ready. We're not ready yet. Anyway, I thought it was important to talk about that. Most makes have had fires. And what is scary is the amount of injuries and deaths that are involved from those fires. I mean, there's such a thing as somebody getting out of the fire and not being injured unless they weren't in the vehicle. Yeah, we got to pay attention to that. You got to start reading, looking for that. We're going to get pushed by the Green New Deal to buy electric vehicles. And let's face it, I'm all for fighting climate change. I believe we are going through climate change, absolutely. But most of it is caused by the planet itself. The planet's going through a lot of changes, so we need to prepare, and I agree. But this is not the way to prepare. We have to prepare in areas where we're ready, not where we're not ready. Email this week has been kind of quiet. It was kind of quiet last week, too. The last few days have been really slow, but I did get one that brought up a subject to mention on the podcast. Part of the email said, Deal Talk, I've been dealing on Ford Explorers. The two I'm looking at from different dealers have a similar price, but the packages seem different. How do I know where I stand as far as the better deal? Well, it went on to talk about how they enjoyed the podcast, blah, 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 but that's the part that we want to talk about. It is better if you're looking at two units exactly alike at different dealers, with a total MSRP. Monroney label is exactly the same. That makes it simple to compare apples with apples and oranges, right? And you can do the due diligence accordingly. And when you ask for your online prices, you just use that MSRP, and they know what one you're talking about, and every Ford dealer is going to have one like that. You can compare units that are not exactly alike, though. I'm not saying it can't be done, right? The markup should be fairly similar, so you can compare numbers based on the full sticker. The price will be different by the amount the sticker is different. So if you're looking at one that's $32,500 and one that's $32,800, there's going to be about $300 difference in the price to be equal deals on the more expensive one. But the markup and the discount is going to be about the same, whichever one you go with. It'll still be there in the final price, though, the difference. That's the only thing you got to watch for when you're comparing two that are not exactly alike. That's not the case when you're doing separate makes like a Chevy versus a Ford, but if you were looking at Ford Explorers with about the same sticker price, it'd be about the same price to be even. As far as equipment differences, you need to ask somebody else. I can't help you there. I talk about how to buy, not what to buy or what's included when you buy, outside of things like dealer fees and things like that. But other than that, I'm not really up on what options and what packages has what, and I don't, I'm not the person to do that. Most of that you can find on their website. So if you were looking at two units and they were a little different in sticker, if you had the sticker there or took a photograph of the stickers, you could tell right online what the differences were. But as far as negotiating, if they're similar in sticker price, they're going to be similar in final price. If you like the show, please take a couple of minutes and do a review or whatever podcast source you use. You can do it with iTunes or whoever. If you've already done a review, thank you very much. Listeners who would like some written material to carry when you're out shopping, then get a copy of The Informed Buyer from Amazon Kindle or Barnes & Noble Nook. It will give you the basics for quick reference when you're in the buying process. And best of all, it's only $3. $3, that's right, $3. How can you lose that? $3, right? What can you get for $3? My venti of Pike today at Starbucks was $3.23. And I couldn't get the sweetener I wanted because they don't have any sugar-free sweeteners at all for some reason. There's a conspiracy there. No, all over the town where I live, there's no sweeteners. I don't know what that means anyway. But it was more than this booklet, and the booklet might end up saving you thousands. How could it not be a good deal? Anyway, moving on. Everything we talk about is part of negotiating in one way or another, right? There are a different number of different ways to negotiate. It's a tough subject to cover because there are many variables, a lot of them. Everything from particular dealer, the salesperson, the market in your area, time of the year, the amount of time you had to purchase, to shop and do your due diligence. You and everyone else want to buy without stress or quickly or without putting in the work that you need to put in. In a perfect world, all of those would be okay. You could just go in, they give you the best price, and that's the end of that. You would hold all the cards and the seller gives in. Obviously, that's not how it is. It is easy to say yes to the right voice and the right presentation, but that's not how it works. And I've been in the business for 35, 40 years, and I've never seen a dealership that gives you the best price up front, ever. And I have literally been in hundreds of dealerships and done work in hundreds of dealerships, and that's not how it works. One thing is for sure, negotiating successfully requires that you know what you're talking about. That's the summa cum laude factor. Know what you're talking about. Not just the basics, but what are the common market facts. That's why the due diligence is paramount. Everybody wants a great deal, but the willingness to prepare is what gets the deal done. You can want all you want, but are you willing to put in the elbow grease? Often people make unknowing offers and get aggressive and rude, but those sorts of things do not work out well. And probably at all, in most cases, they don't work out. So I don't know why people do it, but they do. They do it, and that's the facts, right? You need to have the information and facts required to secure the best possible deal. Considering what you want to buy, what it's going to be the rate for the vehicle with the MSRP, what would be a good deal based on those facts, that's the way you search it down. Many times people make a price offer or a payment offer, or just because the dealer says no and tries to bump the offer to a higher number, the buyer thinks, well, they're very close and they've done it on the right track and blah, blah, blah. Well, the fact is that no matter what you offer a dealer or a salesperson or sales management, other than the exact price that they're asking for it on the window, they're going to try to bump you. And even if you offered the price they're asking for it, they're going to bump you something like, well, that's okay, we're going to let you have this one, but you got to take it by tomorrow. They're going to bump you something. And it's important, and it's the science of selling, right? Imagine if someone had a house for sale for $300,000 and you offered them $250,000, and all they said was, okay, what would you think? Wait a minute. I offered them $250,000 and they just said, okay. Well, something's wrong. I left some money on the table. Oh my God, buyer's remorse would set in, and you would freak about the money you left on the table. You might cancel the deal. That's why no matter where you are in the price, the dealer will try to bump you something. That's just how it is in almost any sales situation. I don't care what you're buying. That's the way it is. Whether they're trying to sell you the warranty as the bump or whatever. Never preempt the process by saying you're shopping or price comparing. Don't go to the dealer and say, hey, I want your best price. I'm shopping. No, that's a challenge to the dealer. That really is. That's like an insult. I can't buy from you. I can't trust you. I just want your price. You think it's a word to the wise, but the dealers don't see it that way. They don't. Never say you're paying cash either. Cash means no extra income to the dealer. They can't make any money on the finance. They're probably not going to be able to sell you anything in the F&I office. So they're looking at whatever profit they make on the vehicle. And so if you're paying cash and you ask them for a price, it's going to be higher than if you weren't. I'll guarantee you that. It hurts you. In your mind, not your mouth, question everything. Don't take anything on face value. Nothing they tell you. Nothing. Just because it's written in front of you on the table does not mean it's true. Payments can be packed. Down payment is vague. The price isn't out the door. There's all these ways they have of sweetening the pot for themselves. When the dealership presents a price, just ask to see it in writing so it's more clear to you. You can't do the math in your head. Please let me see it in writing. And once they present a price, sit quietly and wait for the salesperson to say something. Here's our price. Here it is. Right here. Here's the price. Is that the total price? Is that everything in there? Yes, that's everything in there. Now you just sit and wait. Not time for your facts yet. You just sit and wait. In a few minutes, you can ask the salesperson. He'll have said something by this time, trying to, shake the boat a little bit. You say to him, can you do better? After he explains the numbers, just say, thank you for the explanation. But I asked you if you could do better, because they're going to try to justify their price if they're worth any salt. Can you do any better? Well, this is a great price, and let me share with you why this is a great price. Yeah, but you didn't answer my question. Can you do any better? I asked you to do better because I'd like you to do better on the price. If you'd like me to buy it, you have to do better on the price. Now wait. The salesperson will hem and haw and justify and fidget, and sooner or later, eventually, get up and go to the boss. And they'll offer you something. If he doesn't, then walk. But they will. They'll offer you something. Well, we can do another buck, or we can do this, or we'll give you your first service free or something. They're going to give you something. After the second offer from the dealer, you make an offer that's about 5 to 10% less than your best internet due diligence price. You know, you went on the internet as part of the process and got prices from 4 or 5 dealers. Whatever the lowest price was that you got on that MSRP, you take 10% or at least 5% off, depending on where the price range is. Obviously, that's why I say 5 to 10% off the price, and you offer them that. It might or might not be fairly close to the dealer's price, but as long as you're less, then you're winning. So if the dealer gave you a price of $30,000 and 5% less than or 10% less than your internet price was $29,200, well, that's close to their price, but it doesn't make any difference. You go there, or you can even go a little less than that, but I would stick to the 10% less than your internet price personally, but you could go 10% less than that, or 5% less than whatever they offered you. So 5% less than $29,000 would be what, $1,400? That'd be $28,500. You could start there. You're somewhere near their number. Because your offer is based on real research and the number is fairly close, and you've started at numbers that are within the reason, that's why I said you might better stick at the $29,200, the 10% off, even though it was only $800 less than the best price you got on the internet. I would stick with that personally because it makes it believable. Know that you're on track. The salesperson will squabble and try to sell you on the price. The manager might even come over. They call that a turnover in the business, where the manager comes over and, talks to you about, oh, aren't we worth it, and blah, 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 blah. And you let him get done. Be pleasant and polite. Always, never aggressive. Always pleasant and polite. Assertive, but pleasant and polite. Eventually, the dealer will either offer you a little bit lower price, even more, again, a third time, lower than the price he gave you, or they'll say no. Now you're ready to unleash the hounds. At this point, now you unleash your research. I've been to these. I've gotten prices from these 5 dealers. Here's what they told me in the prices. Here's what the market is. Here's what everybody's been telling me. Hold back a little, right? And you're going to say, let's say that your best price was $30,000, and you hold back a letter, and they're at $30,000 or $31,000, whatever. Your best internet price was $30,000. You might go to $29,500, $400 or $500 under your best internet price. I'll tell you what, based on what everybody tells me, I think I can get one of them to sell me this for $29,500. Don't talk payment unless you absolutely have to. Stay away from that for now. Explain all your research, all the things you've gone through, and why that price is a good price. At this point, the dealer is near his bottom or was already gave you the bottom price and knows you're an educated buyer. They'll try to convince you that the price is legitimate, or in many cases, the dealer will say, because you're close to you're close to the real stuff. In many cases, the dealers say, oh, you may be right. Maybe you can get it for that. Okay, I'll do it. And they'll sell you the vehicle, right? Or a lot of times they'll say, well, I don't know why. I don't think anybody will, and this is the best we can do, regardless of what they're doing for you. This is the best we could do. Now, if I was in a salesperson or a manager in that store, I would know what to do at that point. I'd know what to say. And I know what things to point out to you, but that's not what we're talking about on this show. We're talking about what you do. And they'll try to offer you reasons why you should buy from them, but you know what? You don't have to buy now. That's the important. You're in the driver's seat. You don't have to say, oh, I better buy it now or I'm going to lose out. You won't ever lose out. Don't listen to that crap. Oh, if you have to buy it right now. No, it's never the case. It is never the case. You don't have to buy right now. Whatever happens, now is the time for a decision, no matter what. If you get up and walk, the dealer will call you back anyway. Do not worry. Now, you can always call back and say, look, I've thought it over and I'll take the price that you offered. And they'll say, okay, I'll guarantee you. You call the salesperson. Salesperson wants that deal. You can also say that you can get the price you're offering from someone, but be pleasant in turn. And, you can say to him, you could call them, or they could call you. If they call you, when they will call you, you could say, look, I can get the price I got it right over the phone from the dealer down in Nantucket or whatever it is. And they'll say, look, I'd rather buy from you guys. You can use that. Nothing more flattering than that to a dealer. I'd rather buy from you. They like hearing that. Everyone that I've ever dealt with, I've ever known, likes hearing that. And you could say, look, I'd rather buy from you, but I'm not going to pay more. Quality should be free. And most of the time, they're going to say, okay, you win. Believe me, if you leave and later decide you want, they'll do it no matter what. Here are some more key points of this that you need to consideration. Don't take their position personal. Don't think they've personalized it. Don't think they're doing this with you to be tough. Be prepared to walk completely. Don't worry about that. There's a lot of places to buy a vehicle. Don't be afraid to walk. Be sensible, but also be prepared to walk. If you're 5% or more lower than your lowest internet price, you may be the real deal. So if you're 5% less, which would be on a $30,000 vehicle, what would that be? $1,500 less than your best internet price? You're probably at a deal. Don't get emotional. Don't get angry. Not ever. You're in the winning position now. What about your trade? Let's say we're time to bring up the trade. You've negotiated the price. Trade-in negotiation is another side of the process. You must understand the difference between ACV and allowance. ACV is the actual wholesale value, the value of your trade without any discounts. Over allowance or specials added in makes for the allowance. If they get, like if the price of the vehicle is $32 and they're giving you $5 for yours, but you can get $2 off if you don't trade, that means your trade's really worth $3. You need to know that. So once you've negotiated the front end price, now what you're going to be talking about is the real value of your trade. If you negotiated the deal separately, the dealer will be looking at ACV. This is why shopping your trade is part of the due diligence. The beauty is you have the opportunity to maximize the number, as well as because you're handling it separately, you get 2 chances to better the deal. If you believe me, there's no dealer out there looking at a trade-in that's glued to the price that they come up with first. None of them. None of them. But they have to have a reason to do more. You can't go to the used car manager and say, I just had to go $500 more in this trade-in. Hope you don't mind. No, because that's not how it's going to work. But you can squeeze them to do that if you give them a reason. If you negotiate the deal and your trade separately, they'll quote you a price, this time on your trade. You'll again ask for a better number, and you'll play the same game with them. After their rebuttal, you'll offer a number that on your trade that gives you 10% more than the highest used dealer offered you for your trade. So let's say you were offered $4,000 was the most you were offered by used vehicle dealers when you did your due diligence. So 10% more would be $400, right? So if you were offered $4,000 for your trade, as the most you got, you'd tell the dealer $44, $45. Might round it off just to $45. That's what you tell them, no matter what they told you for it. Unless they told you more than $45, well, then that'd be great. That could happen, too. Let's say there's probably going to be a little less used car dealer, though. To be honest with you, when you're offered $4,000 by used car dealers, you had a bunch of used car dealers, and the highest offer you had was $4,000 out of 4 of them. Most dealers aren't going to offer you $4,000 when you're trading it in, ACV. Now, I'm not talking about allowance. I'm talking about just cash value for the trade-in. They're going to be probably 35, 36, so you're going to have to negotiate them up a little bit anyway. They're always going to be less because they try to make money in every way, just like you're trying to save money every way. Let's say your final deal was $21,500, and now your trade number you asked for is 10% more than the highest used vehicle dealer. That's how you would do it. You take the $21,500 and you take the highest price, so at $44,000 off of that, it'd be $17,100 or $17,000 even would be the difference. This method of dealing makes it clear as to where you are and what you're actually getting in the deal. Also, in most states, after you settle the trade, you should get the number plus a reduction in the sales tax equal to the amount of the trade. So 42 out of 50 states, sales tax is only charged on the cash difference. So if you took a vehicle that you had negotiated to $21,500 and then they gave you $45,000 for your trade, right, you'd only pay tax on $17,000. You wouldn't pay it on the $21,500. In 42 out of 50 states. There's only a few that don't do it that way, that hose their public, don't care about the public at all, right? I don't get it, but that's just the way it is. Let's say that it's $6,000 plus $600, $6,600. You owe nothing on your trade-in, and the final bottom line is $21,500 and minus $6,600, 7% tax. That would be $462 on the final bottom line. So you'd be at $14,438 out the door because the tax was less. If you've done it right, you should be at about $2,500 below what you would have been offered approximately on the deal. Never mind, we're out of the tax thing now, but $2,500 less. All bundled through good, verifiable information and honest negotiation. You didn't have to pull anybody's leg. You didn't have to guess. You didn't have to wonder what was going on, because with all your due diligence and all the things you do to get ready for the deal, you know what's going on. And what even better, is they know you know. That's powerful when they know you know, right? It's like packing payments. The minute you ask for the total amount financed, the interest rate, the number of months and all that with your payment, they know you know what's going on. They're not going to pack your payment. If you insist on working both the trade and the new vehicle as a single process, you need to figure these numbers out first. So if you decided you're going to be at 10% less on the price for an offer, and then you're going to take the trade, you'd be 10% less on the trade than the best price. So you take the trade that's 10% more than the best price you were offered, and you deduct that from the price that's 10% less, and that's the price you would offer them. That's where you'd start. It makes it a little tougher when you're doing them together. You can do it, though. It's just you don't have as many chances to take advantage of them the way they take advantage of you. The fact is that the lowest, here's another beauty of your due diligence. The fact is the lowest out-the-door quote minus the highest used vehicle dealer price equals the worst it could get. That's the deal you already have. Whoever quoted you online, the lowest price, and then whatever used car dealer gave you the highest price in your trade, you've already got that deal because the dealer could sell the trade to that used car dealer. So that's the worst you're at already. And that's before you go in and you got the confidence of knowing where you are so you can deal with these people and get them down on the price and feel confident about it. You got to remember, they're still going to make money. It's not like they're getting hosed here. They're going to make money. You're just trying to limit the amount they make. The goal is to get a great deal and be polite and fair during the entire process. Not steal every nickel out of them. No, you don't want to be the example, right? There are many ways to negotiate, but the basics are always the same. Let's review a few of those rules. First of all, after you've picked a model to buy, right, you've got the MSRP and all that stuff, you do the due diligence. When you're at the dealership, don't talk unless you must. Even when you're shopping for a vehicle or when you're going to negotiate, don't talk unless you have to. Let them do all the talking. Believe me, you'll learn a ton just from listening to them. You don't have to agree with them, you just listen. Separate your purchase and your trade if possible. That's the best way to deal. I don't care what anybody tells you, that is the best way. Never tell them you're shopping. Never say that. I'm out shopping, I want your best price. Don't do that. Never say you're paying cash if you're paying cash until the dealing's done. Did the song about, you got to know when to hold them. Anyway, until the dealing's done. You don't do any of that till the dealing's done, right? They don't have to know that. Don't discourage them. Don't give them a reason to want to get more on the front end. The front end's the profit on the vehicle itself. The less you're going to finance, the less you're going to buy other stuff, the more they're going to try to make on the front end. So don't let them know on the front end. Are you paying cash? No, I don't think so. We're trying to figure that out right now. We're talking to other family members about the financing. Always have them explain what their numbers represent and how they got there. So if they come over and you say, here's our price. Okay, that's your price. What's included in that? Is everything in that price? Does that include the sales tax? No, that doesn't include the sales tax. That's just the price. Include the dealer fee and the plates and all that stuff? No, it doesn't include the plates. It does have the dealer fee in it. So you got to figure those things are on top of it. And you get a total price. Now, if you're getting the payment, same thing. If they're going to quote you a monthly payment, well, how many months is that? And how much are you figuring that loan on? How much money? Does that mean I have to come up with a down payment to get to that number? Right? What's the interest rate you're using? You got to know all that when they quote your payment. And you have a right to know all that. It's not something you think, I don't want to do that. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. The heck with that. Who cares? But if that hurts their feelings, they need to get out of the business. You need to ask those questions. If you want to be the type of customer that walks out with a great deal and you're happy with the dealer and they're happy with you, then this is the way you do it. Don't ever be afraid to walk. Don't ever be too busy to walk. If you have to walk. Go to the next dealer. You can always, and another thing is, you walk and you work things out, you can always go back. Don't ever think for a second, those things that we have to do, no, believe me, you never have to go back. You never worry about going back. Dealers will always make the deal that they've offered you. Always. There are other ways to negotiate, but usually they're just a guess based on no facts. And when you're guessing numbers, you're guessing the markup, and you're guessing what you should buy it for, that seldom works. And I'm sure there's other ways that work, but this is the way that I recommend. This is the way that if you follow the plan, nobody can get to you. And that's what we're talking about here on Deal Talk. Well, that's Deal Talk for this week. If you have a question or a request or even a comment, please call or text or email me. Callers or text dial 407-801-4071. That's 407-801-4071. For email, it's dealtalk@mail.com. Please don't forget to do a review and do yourself a favor by getting a copy of The Informed Buyer from Amazon or Nook. The best $3 you'll have ever spent, I'll guarantee you. And however I can help you, contact me and you'll hear from me. And remember what we just talked about, right? Every payment you get should be CPI, complete payment information, amount, months, rate, and your required down payment. Get those terms, and not just on the first payment, but every time they quote you a payment, you get those terms with it. I know it sounds redundant, but believe me, it'll pay off. You never know when they're going to change something on you. And every price you get, if you're just getting the price, you can do your financing somewhere else, just need to know the bottom line. Get it all in. Every single cost required to buy the vehicle. Explain that to them. Everything. I want everything in there. Tax, tag, dealer fee, market options. Don't play any games with me. Just give me the price with everything. They call it OTD, out the door.